January 26, 1945, Holtzwihr, France. The battlefield was silent, except for the crackle of fire. A single American tank destroyer burned in the snow. Inside, Lieutenant Audie Murphy, wounded and alone, manned a .50 caliber Browning machine gun. Around him, chaos. 250 German soldiers and 6 tanks advanced toward his position. He stayed. He fought. For over an hour, Murphy held the line, his bullets tearing through armor, flesh, and bone. When the gun finally fell silent, the snow was black with smoke. He had forced an entire German battalion to retreat. That day they learned to fear not just the man, but the weapon in his hands. The Browning M2 .50 caliber was no secret invention. It wasn't new or high-tech. It was a simple, brutal machine, reliable, unstoppable, and everywhere. First built in 1933, it became the backbone of American firepower. Firing half-inch rounds at nearly 500 per minute, it could pierce armor, concrete, and the human body alike. German medics quickly learned to recognize its work: catastrophic wounds, amputations, instant death from hits to the chest, and what frightened them most, the M2 never jammed. Across Europe, from Normandy to the Ardennes, its thunder became the sound of American warfare. The Germans called it the Hammer of the West. By 1943, that hammer ruled not only the ground, but the sky. Above the clouds, the B-17 Flying Fortress turned the air into a killing field. Each bomber carried 13 Browning machine guns, firing in every direction. Together, they unleashed over 6,000 rounds per minute. German fighter pilots once hunted bombers with confidence. Now they flew into walls of fire. No angle was safe, not from above, below, or head-on. Tracer rounds stitched the sky like burning threads. Survivors said it felt like flying into a furnace. Engines burst apart, wings shattered. The sky itself seemed alive with thunder. The Americans called it precision bombing. The Germans called it hell. By the end of 1943, the Luftwaffe was bleeding faster than it could replace its men. And high above Europe, the Browning M2 became more than a weapon. It became a symbol, a mechanical embodiment of American industry, determination, and power. The sound of the .50 caliber was the sound of inevitability. On the ground, the story was the same. Every jeep, every tank, every convoy carried a Browning M2. The gun was everywhere, mounted on rooftops, turrets, trucks, and boats. It turned every vehicle into a fortress. American soldiers used it for everything: defense, suppression, and reconnaissance by fire. See a suspicious building? Shoot it. A dark tree line? Light it up. The doctrine was simple: fire first, dominate always. German infantry, trained to conserve ammunition, couldn't understand it. They called it the thunder that never sleeps. The .5 caliber cut through stone walls and steel doors. In towns and villages, it shattered windows, rooftops, and morale. Its deep, rhythmic roar echoed through the streets of France and Belgium. At night, every fifth bullet was a tracer, a red streak across the darkness. Each one meant 4 invisible rounds behind it. Streams of light marked death's path, and every soldier knew what followed. Veterans learned to move fast or die where they stood. New recruits froze under the sight of converging tracer fire. It wasn't just firepower, it was psychological warfare. By late 1944, the .5 caliber was more than a gun, it was a doctrine. Reliability, volume, and industrial repetition turned it into an unstoppable system. P-47 Thunderbolts strafed German convoys with 8 Brownings each. M16 quad mounts, meant for aircraft defense, ripped through enemy infantry on the ground. Convoys once vulnerable to ambush became rolling fortresses of steel and sound. German after-action reports called it the weapon of attrition. They knew movement meant death, and initiative was gone. By 1945, the outcome was no longer in question. America's weapon wasn't just metal, it was industry. For every German gun, America built 10. For every tank destroyed, 2 more rolled out of Detroit. The M2 Browning embodied that truth: simple, efficient, and endless. It didn't jam, it didn't quit, it just fired. Even the bravest soldiers realized that courage alone could not defeat production. The factory had become the battlefield, and America had mastered it. When the war ended, the Browning stayed. It fought in Korea, Vietnam, and beyond. 80 years later, it still serves. The same design, the same sound, the same fear. Because the M2 Browning wasn't just a gun. It was proof that industrial will could outlast human bravery, and that sometimes history is written not by heroes, but by machines that never stop.